This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother-sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, along with our latest movie or show review. And what we're getting into next. We're your host, Cheryl.
And Jay.
All right. So this week, our episode is about Monarch, Legacy of Monsters. So I found a trivia that is adjacent.
Okay.
I don't have it up. Oh, I remember what it is. Okay. So the showrunner for Legacy of Monsters, the TV show, is Chris Black. Okay. What other show has Chris Black been involved in? That is, I'm going to give you some clues.
Okay.
It's also on Apple TV and it's won a Peabody Award. And you've seen it.
Severance?
Yes.
Oh.
That was too quick.
Interesting.
But yes.
So two bangers.
Right. Did you know that Severance won a Peabody Award though?
No, because I feel like Severance doesn't get talked about as much as it should.
Doesn't, but if you don't know what a Peabody Award is, for anybody listening, it's like one of the most prestigious awards that you can get in entertainment. So like literature, media, and Severance, I think it might have been, maybe if not last year, maybe year before last. Mm-hmm. The show, like the entire show, won a Peabody Award. So if you have not seen Severance, this is your cue to go watch it before season 2 comes, because it's super good.
It says the Peabody Awards are named for George Foster Peabody, the American businessman and philanthropist, and described as the most powerful, enlightening, and invigorating stories in television, radio, and online media. Severance fits that. So if it gives you any clue to how much we enjoyed Legacy of Monsters, take the fact that the same guy was involved with a Peabody Award winning show. So, but we'll get to our review after our news. Nice. And watch Severance.
Severance, because we should do a recap before.
Yeah. Once they announce,
and then we definitely are going to do the second. We might have to do like episode by episode.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It's so good.
We'll just go watch it. It's on Apple TV. All right, let's get into our episode this week.
Welcome, fellow movie buffs. I'm Jay.
I'm Cheryl.
Listen in as we break down movie and TV shows, tell you what's in the plot, and hear if we think you should have watched it when you had the chance.
Dun, dun, dun. All right. So for our agenda, as we always say, it's short, but we like to talk. So we have one movie to talk about that got a little shift in their release date. And then in our movie and show announcements, we have a couple old school remakes that are coming back. Classic remakes, by the way, that are getting redone. A live action video game adaptation to talk about. A dynamic duo is teaming up again for another movie. And then we have a little bit of news. Somebody in a Marvel TV show said something about it. So we'll highlight what that is.
Okay, so first thing on the list, movies moving. Civil War moves up 2 weeks to April 12th release date. That seems like it's a good slot.
Well, I looked it up because I was like, why? Oh, I wonder if they're moving away from something. So the only other thing that was opening up on the 26th, where it originally was the Challengers with Zendaya, which I don't know if these two audiences overlap. We talked about Civil War a couple episodes ago. It's kind of like it's the Leave the World Behind after effect.
or
it's like
what was happening outside of the house.
Yeah, so it's not even post-apocalyptic. It's Civil War, but on I'm about to say we already had a Civil War on American territory. Think of the states were fighting each other.
Yeah.
Think of if Texas and California succeeded and then they were basically their own nation fighting all the other states, essentially.
That's the plot. Yeah.
In modern times. So that's what the Civil War movie is about. It got moved up 2 weeks to April 12th. There's no other major movies that weekend, so that's why they moved. April is a little dry, I think. Like March is a heavy hitter for movies. April is a little dry. So maybe they wanted to spread the wealth. And I don't know if these are the same. No. Is Challengers A24?
Let's see.
Because Civil War is, and I wonder if A24 was like, let's spread out our movies.
Nope. It's MGM.
Okay.
Yeah.
So never mind. All right.
So it's A24 and MGM.
Okay. But so we get it 2 weeks early. Are we reviewing this one?
Civil War.
Mm-hmm.
I need to see another trailer. I've only seen one.
Okay.
The premise sounds interesting. So for people who are unfamiliar with what Civil War is, it's an upcoming action film that stars Kirsten Dunst, Jesse Plemons, who is Kirsten Dunst's real-life husband, Nick Offerman, who is from Parks and Recreation. He played Ron Swanson. I believe he's playing the president of the United States in this movie.
He is.
And Wagner Moura, who is from Narcos Mexico.
He was first. He was in the first Narcos.
Oh, okay.
Which didn't have a name. It was just Narcos.
So from Narcos. Mm-hmm. And it's about Kirsten Dunst, who's like a reporter, a photographer, or a journalist.
I think she's she's a photographer.
And she's trying to chronicle the Civil War between regular Americans and the Texas-California Americans.
Which is it's interesting. People on Twitter were like, yeah, we know this movie is fake. Because Texas and Californians, they're not linking up to join no war together for nothing.
No, because politically they're completely different.
Yeah, it'll be an interesting movie. We'll put it that way. So we'll keep it in our back pocket. It depends on what else comes out that weekend, probably.
If something else is announced.
Right. All right. So let's get into our next little segment here is movie and show announcements. I'm taking a deep breath because this first one I was like, oh, okay. Kenya Barris, who is behind Blackish. And he had another show that did not do nearly as well as Blackish.
He had the show with Rashida Jones.
It was based off his life. So Blackish was based off him a little bit, but I guess
Black AF, yeah.
The other show was kind of more like the adult version of it. Anyway, I didn't watch it. It didn't do well. Unlike Blackish, which did extremely well. He is doing a Wizard of Oz and It's a Wonderful Life remakes. He is in charge over behind the scenes for both of them. Just yesterday it came out. I guess he had an interview with Variety, so this news is coming out via Variety. His version of Dorothy is a girl who lives in the Bottoms, which is a huge apartment complex in Inglewood, California. His It's a Wonderful Life remake is going to be centered around a person of color.
Okay.
And you would think everybody who is a person of color, maybe or black, would be like, oh man, we getting remakes of these two movies in the black lens. But Black Twitter,
black guy, white wife.
We not feeling this. He also did that movie.
A white guy, black wife.
Is that the name of the movie?
No, I mean that's just his
you talking about
style of filmmaking.
It is. Yeah. It is. Like the person of color in the Wonderful Life remake will probably be a mixed person. It will highly not be like a dark skin. It could be a dark skinned black man.
That's just his style. Black AF was him married to Rashida Jones. Then he had You People.
Oh, You People. I didn't watch You People.
Just came out last year with Eddie Murphy and Jonah Hill.
That didn't do well.
So it was black guy, white wife, and then white guy, black
because
wife.
The daughter was Lauren London in that one.
And then it was Mixed-ish.
Oh, I didn't watch. That really didn't make it. Who was in that?
That was about Bo's family.
Yes, young Bo, right? Because
Bo.
It was her black mom and her white dad.
That lasted for about a year and a half.
Did it?
And he also did the White Man Can't Jump movie with Jack Harlow. So
he keep getting budget and
black guy, white guy, not black guy, white wife.
Right. Oh, it was still interracial if you think about it. Still interracial.
And he
couple.
did Cheaper by the Dozen.
Oh my gosh, with Gabrielle Union and Scrubs.
Yeah.
I can't think of his name right now. Okay. Yeah, so It's a Wonderful Life. The family will likely be a black mom and a white husband, which means Dorothy will be mixed.
Yeah. And that's just his thing.
I'm sorry, I literally just mixed It's a Wonderful Life and The Wizard of Oz, but y'all know what I was trying to say.
That's his style of filmmaking.
I'm not looking forward to. For one, people seem to be very vocal about not wanting remakes nowadays, so it's very interesting that. Well, it's not interesting because his original stuff don't hit. So I'm not expecting the remake stuff to hit either.
The only thing that's good is Blackish and. I'll give Grownish just because Grownish has been on for a while and people seem to really like it.
People do seem to like Grownish.
But those are the best things he's done. And it seems like everything after that, he's tried to recapture the magic of that.
Right. And it's not, he's not sticking the landing. So I saw somebody's tweet that said, maybe we don't need representation. if this is what we gonna get.
If it's the Kenya Barris
Right.
representation.
If this is all we gonna get, then I saw another tweet that said, I'm starting a change.org petition for this to get this to not ever see the light of day. So I don't.
Oh, he's also doing a Richard Pryor biopic. So, I mean, literally, black guy, white wife.
Yeah.
So, he's got a style. That's his thing. They're not good. And it's not because of the black guy, white wife thing. It's just because he tries to play
doesn't write it.
He doesn't
write it very well.
He doesn't write it very well. We make fun of the black guy, white wife thing just because that's what he typically loves to do.
He's consistent in that.
Outside of Blackish, the writing on his stuff has just been diminishing returns ever since he's come up with something after Blackish.
Who is paying for this? Keeps paying for this is my question.
Well, I think he's
got to deal with somebody, doesn't he? Does he have a deal with like MGM or Amazon or somebody?
Probably
maybe.
MGM.
Somebody's fronting these atrocities.
But as far as these two projects, the whole description for The Wiz, that's it. Though his Wizard of Oz is The Wiz. It's The Wiz on the West Coast, because the whole Dorothy is a girl who lives in the bottoms. But it's in Inglewood, California. It's like Dorothy. That was Diana Ross in The Wiz.
I don't
It
need.
was the exact same.
I've never wanted another Wiz.
It was on the East Coast.
Right.
Diana Ross, but
I've never been like, man, I really wish they redid The Wiz and been like, I could see who I would want casted in that. Nope, never crossed my mind.
No. And It's a Wonderful Life. I mean, I feel like It's a Wonderful Life has been done over and over again.
In different
Yeah,
formats?
it's just never been called It's a Wonderful. There have been so many It's a Wonderful Life-esque remakes that they don't call it It's a Wonderful Life.
I've never, I know it's like a classic Christmas movie, but I've never also wanted to be like, you know what? One, I don't watch it every Christmas. I've probably seen it once or twice or maybe 3/4 of a time. I don't need it to be remade either.
They just came out with a horror movie called It's a Wonderful Knife.
You're right.
And it's about a girl.
You're right.
It's about a girl who stops the killer, but then she wishes that she was never born. So then the rest of the movie is them showing her how many people the killer would have killed if she was never there to stop him. It's very interesting. It wasn't a great movie.
Oh, you saw it?
I watched it.
Okay.
It was on Amazon, I believe.
I'm sure it's on some streaming service at this point.
But
yeah,
that's just another example of the It's a Wonderful Life thing being done over again. So
I'm gonna read this tweet that I just found because I was like scrolling through. Somebody said nobody asked for Wizish.
That's exactly what it's gonna be.
It is.
It's literally exactly what it's gonna be.
Everyone's losing work and Kenya Barris is still here. Make it make sense, God. We gonna leave it. We will definitely.
Issa Rae stuff is getting canceled from HBO Max because it has actual viewership and people
seem to really like it.
And Kenya Barris's stuff keeps getting new things, even though every time it comes out with something, everybody hates it.
Right, and it's kind of the rehashed same cast in different wigs.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know what? At the very least, we'll keep y'all up to date on how production goes and who gets casted. But will we watch it? Not. I ain't into hate watching stuff either. So
no, I'm not. I'm not interested in watching things I know I'm not gonna like.
Right.
So.
Unless it's like in the superhero genre, we already gonna watch that kind of stuff anyway.
Right.
But you're not. Nope. Next piece of news.
Minecraft gets a live action movie, which was announced a while ago, but periodically they've just been dropping additional names that they've been adding into the cast. Most recently, they casted Kate McKinnon, who is known for Saturday Night Live, and she was just recently Awkward Barbie.
Yes.
She was Weird Barbie.
It was either Awkward or Weird Barbie.
I think she was Weird Barbie.
She did Awkward Weird Barbie very well.
Kate McKinnon is a great comedic actress.
She's hilarious.
She was also hilarious in the Lady Ghostbusters movie,
which I like, which people did not like, but I loved it.
And she played All You Cool Cats and Kittens in the
Cool Cats and Kittens.
She played the chick from the Tiger King.
Oh, Carol.
Yes,
I can't think of her.
They did like a movie based on the Tiger King documentary, and they cast her, and she played Carol.
Okay, she was Weird Barbie.
Yes,
she was Weird Barbie.
Also, they added Jennifer Coolidge, who is known from a lot of stuff. She's been acting forever.
She has.
Very heavy in the 2000s, but she was just recently in White Lotus season 2.
And she's
White
been
Lotus
winning
season
awards.
1. Yeah.
Oh, she was in both.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she racked up a couple of awards for her performance in that as well.
Good for her.
And
I'm
she's
glad
also
she's
a great
winning.
comedic actress as well.
She is. So at least it'll be funny.
Oh, absolutely. So the other stars are Jason Momoa, who is Aquaman, Jack Black, who's Jack Black, Jermaine Clement, who I'm not familiar with.
Me either. I looked him up and he didn't seem... I hadn't seen him in anything previously, but he got announced the same time Kate McKinnon got announced.
He looks very familiar. Oh,
Doesn't
he's
he?
from What We Do in the Shadows.
Oh, I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Okay.
I've seen like a few episodes of it.
Is that a comedy?
It's a comedy based on... It is about vampires who live in New York who are from all different types of time periods.
Okay.
And they're trying to adjust to living in modern day New York.
It sounds interesting.
It's funny like it's funny it's a certain type of comedy.
Is it like Kimmy Schmidt's?
No, it's like Always Sunny in Philadelphia funny.
Okay.
Yeah. It's that type of comedy.
Okay. I have heard of that show before though.
And Danielle Brooks, who was just recently in The Color Purple.
And she also got nominated for a BAFTA.
And was nominated for a BAFTA. And Emma Myers, who's another name I'm not 100%
She
familiar
is
with.
she's a child actor, or she looks like a child actor. She is from,
She was Wednesday's roommate.
there it is. She was the mean, okay, so she's not a child actor. She full grown.
21.
She looks younger in the face. There you go. She's a up and coming young actress.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was the mean girl from Wednesday.
Okay.
I think she wasn't the roommate, right? She looks like the mean girl.
I think she was the roommate. Was the roommate the blonde-haired one?
Okay, probably. I did not finish
I think she was
Wednesday.
a super nice girl.
Okay, I got that totally opposite.
That was like a werewolf or something.
She's from Wednesday, y'all.
Yeah.
She's from Wednesday. But you know what? I actually didn't know if I wanted to see this because I haven't played a second of Minecraft, but they might have me with this cast.
So Minecraft is one of those choose your own adventure games.
Is it like Mario? Donkey Kong?
It's like No Man's Sky, but it's all planet side.
Okay.
So it's just one of those, the world is constantly changing. It's like an infinite open world because it's constantly changing. It has weather and day-night cycle. And it's all about exploring and crafting and building your own little huts. And
I'm curious about the plot for this situation.
Yeah, so they've come out with a whole bunch of different Minecraft games. So the original Minecraft game is just a big choose your own adventure game where it's open, you get to do whatever you want. Then they have like the Minecraft RPG.
Didn't know that existed.
One of our previous guest hosts, Jeremy, plays with her family.
Then
where they try to add story elements.
Okay,
yeah.
I've seen this in action. Then
Minecraft is a blank canvas that they just throw story elements into because it's just you can do whatever you want with it.
Okay,
yeah. So
it's given Super Mario, in terms of trying to have a stat cast for a video adaptation movie.
Yeah, because it's kind of like how Mario doesn't really have a story.
Although Mario wasn't live action, so that is also interesting.
Oh, that's also true, yeah. Because the Mario games don't really have a story. He just plays the things to rescue Princess Peach. Minecraft is kind of the same way, except there's there's no goal in Minecraft. You just play it to play it. Yeah.
Huh. We'll see what the trailer looks like. But I will say the cast has me a little convinced of like Danielle Brooks was already kind of like Hook. And then when they add Kate McKinnon and Jennifer Coolidge, I was like, I'm hooked. I'm more hooks. There's more hooks in me now.
Yeah, it's going to be a comedy. All of these people are comedic actors.
There's
actresses.
No way this is serious.
Yeah.
I mean,
even Danielle Brooks came from comedy.
Right. And not to knock Jason Momoa, but I don't take him as like a serious act, not serious in terms of tone.
Neither did the people who put this movie together. That's why he's casted.
Okay. Next bit of news we have is shrouded in secrecy, apparently. But then a scooper said something about it. I was like, I think they were trying to keep that secret. Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan are teaming up again for another movie. Ryan Coogler is going to write and direct this one. Now, when this story broke, it was like a super secret. The genre of the film is supposed to be under wraps. And then maybe, I don't know, hours later, day later, Jeff Snyder, who is a big time movie newsbreaker journalist, I don't know what you want to call him officially. I'll call him a movie scooper, said that it was going to be a vampire period movie.
Yes.
So I'm going to assume that he is right. We'll go with he is right at this point, and he got the tea and spilled the beans. Although it seemed like they were trying to keep that under wraps. I mean, it's Ryan Coogler, so I'm already on board. Mm-hmm. I will admit I don't see every movie that Michael B. Jordan is in. But if you put
Ryan, he had some clunkers. He had that Tom Clancy movie.
I didn't, I meant to see that every because
with Lauren London.
Yes, and I never got around to it.
Yeah.
And one day I was like, I'm gonna watch this, and then I forgot about it. But if you put Ryan Coogler behind it, I'm kind of like, well, I mean, yes, give it to me, because I didn't see either Creed until the last one. So
this is interesting for two reasons.
I wonder. I think I can guess the one, but go ahead.
One, it's the two reasons are Ryan Coogler and Michael B. Jordan individually. So
okay,
it's
so maybe not
on the Ryan Coogler side because all this during all that time, the Blade drama, and they couldn't find a director, and they couldn't find a storyteller, and they couldn't find somebody that wanted to do a Blade movie, and Ryan Coogler was clearly planning a vampire movie in the background.
That was one of mine. One of mine was like, so Blade,
and Marvel has already worked with him twice, so why did not?
He has a deal. Yeah. We have a Wakanda series coming out.
Yeah, and you're trying to make Blade a black movie. I mean, because it is anyway, but you're trying to double down on that by casting even more black actors in it.
Right.
You couldn't have called Ryan Coogler. All this time y'all been searching for a director, and Ryan Coogler's right there.
Maybe Ryan and Michael B. Jordan already have had this in like their mind and in the works, and Marvel was like, sure, but we don't want, but Mahershala got to be Blade. And maybe that's like,
between Mahershala and Michael B. Jordan, I would still go with Mahershala.
But what if Michael B. Jordan and Ryan, this is their like combined project, and you can't drop one of them?
I guess Ryan wanted to do his own vampire thing without Marvel, because Marvel has the ability to conflict with the
They're going to give Ryan whatever he wants.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I feel like the MCU has a history of conflicting interests between what they want to see in a movie versus what the creative wants to see.
But you don't think that certain directors kind of get a little like Black Panther? He totally had creative freedom for that.
Maybe Ryan wants to make a non-Disney family movie.
You think this is a family movie?
Yeah, no,
period vampire piece?
Exactly. I don't think it is, which is why I think he doesn't want to do it under Disney.
I'm following you.
Yeah,
because
Disney is kind of like...
Although Blade is going to be rated R, sir.
We'll see. We haven't seen it yet.
Okay.
Echo was their first foray into TVMA, and honestly, it didn't need it.
You don't think it needed it?
Echo didn't need nudity, but TVMA is reserved for certain types of stuff.
I don't know if TV shows get Rs. I think it's either like TVMA or I don't know. I'm gonna have to look that up. I think R might be reserved for movies, so maybe that's why they didn't label it.
If Echo was their definition of going deep and dark, it wasn't that deep and dark.
I mean, it definitely wasn't for like...
It had blood, but it didn't have like gore.
It didn't have gore. They cussed, but it wasn't like original Blade at all.
No.
In terms of like gore and blood and guts and, scenes and stuff like that.
The other interesting thing about it is, so Michael B. Jordan is just doing vampire movies now?
What other vampire movie was he in?
He's got the I Am Legend movie coming out.
Oh, you're right.
Which is also a vampire movie.
Are they considered vampires?
Yeah, they're considered vampires.
Because they're called Nightwalkers, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm sure not. Maybe this is made up. Maybe this is not a vampire movie.
Or it could be
and
made
the scooper
up,
got
and
it wrong.
Be not a vampire movie.
Somebody slipped him some false information just so they could be diverted from what the real reveal is.
Yeah.
Oh, that would be cool. A period vampire movie by Ryan Coogler sounds very cool. I agree with you that I find
period?
It's gonna be like 1800s.
I'm about to say, what period were black people free and able to?
It's either gonna be super old, like 1800s, or it's gonna be real futuristic, like 3000s.
It's gonna be a fictitious 1800s,
yes,
where there was like no slavery because everybody was distracted by vampires.
I'll go with it. I'll go with it. But I agree.
It's gonna be like Bridgerton, where you had like black princes, even though that's ridiculous.
Right, right. I agree with you on the Marvel piece, because I was thinking, I was like, so are these gonna come out? Is Blade and this gonna come out around the same time? Because everybody's gonna compare the two.
That also might be why they tried to keep the synopsis under wraps.
Right, because everybody's kind of like, so y'all ain't get Ryan for Blade. if I had to put together my conspiracy hat on, I would say they have approached him for Blade, but him and Michael B. Jordan already had this as like they next team up. And they were like, but Mahershala gotta be Blade. So either you can take it with Mahershala or we can't do it.
Have they found a director for Blade yet?
Yes. It's the same guy from, or no, maybe, I don't know. They've been kind of quiet. Let me see.
Because I saw that they were looking for a Blade director.
Marvel Blade.
Oh, Yann Dimmage. Yeah.
Yeah, about to say, I don't think they have a writer anymore.
Yeah, so it's being delayed to 2025. And it is being directed by Yann Dimmage, who has history with, I think it's Dimmage. I may be butchering it.
Listen, you do better than me, so we're going to go with what you said.
But he has history with a bunch of movies that nobody has ever seen.
Top Boy is his... he executive producer of Lovecraft Country for 10 episodes.
So shows, not movies. So Lovecraft Country and
executive
Top Boy.
Producer of Top Boy, which are both well received. Like, people really like both of those.
So he's executive producer of Top Boy. And he's the director of Lovecraft Country?
He was an executive producer on Lovecraft Country.
So what has he directed?
It doesn't look like he's directed anything. But you know, Marvel, that's how Marvel rolls. They give these directors, they give them a lot of, what do I want to say?
If he's making a vampire movie...
They give them big projects for their first. And I don't necessarily mind that, because you got to get your foot in somewhere.
Yeah, I don't mind them
just
giving
make
it
sure
to a
it's
new
good.
I believe in looking at a resume.
You're right.
But also,
you're right.
If he's making a vampire movie that's supposed to be rated R and supposed to be new ground for the MCU, and he's going up against Ryan Coogler, he needs to bring his A game, because Ryan Coogler already has a certain type of notoriety.
Well, yeah, I mean,
for his directing, like, he's a trusted director, and
Blade is a big name. Period.
Blade comes with a bunch of expectations.
So many, and the longer it takes for the movie to come out, the higher the expectations are going.
Yeah.
So we'll see if they come out the same year. It'll be extremely interesting, but I will watch them both, of course, naturally.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And compare them.
But yeah, so we'll keep you guys updated if this scoop was right or not right, and production news as it comes along.
Also, in the Ryan Coogler realm of things, another piece of news: Marvel's Ironheart has wrapped filming. Now, Ryan Coogler didn't have anything to do with the Ironheart show, but he did direct Black Panther 2, which was the first appearance of Ironheart, who was played by Dominic Thorne in Wakanda Forever. And the news is that Ironheart wrapped filming. Dominic Thorne says it's an epic journey and one that I'm very excited to share. They all say that it's,
of course,
they all say it's an epic journey. It's breaking it. The story is going places Marvel has never
gone before. Yeah. I think Ironheart might get the Echo treatment, and I don't mean that in a bad way.
Yeah, and it should.
And by Echo treatment, I mean it all released at once. Now, they marketed the heck out of Echo, by the way. So when I say Echo treatment, I don't mean like putting it by the wayside or whatever.
Yeah.
But I think with, Marvel's trying to do the less content, or I don't want to call it content, less movies and TV shows, and getting back to like making the movies a big deal and everything. I think a lot of these shows are going to come out differently, and I think Ironheart might be one of them.
Yeah, as far as Echo, when you look at the whole series, the whole 5 episodes as a whole, not a lot happened.
Not overall.
And if the creators of Ironheart are feeling like not a lot is gonna happen, just put it all out. Yeah, because Echo was good, but it just didn't have like a whole bunch of.
It didn't have that week to week.
It didn't do a whole bunch of world building.
Right.
Like, it took place in one town. It stayed there, and it was cool because the story was tight. And if Ironheart is the same way, just put it all out. I agree. Do not make everybody wait.
Yep. I like the release of Echo because we literally binged the last 4 episodes, and because I wanted to see what was gonna happen next. So if it was good, yeah. If they put it out like where it's a lot, I won't say a lot happens at once, but where it doesn't really warrant a week to week draw out, put it all out at once.
Yeah, and I guess we have to watch her build another suit. Unfortunately, because she couldn't take her suit from Black Panther. She had to keep that in Wakanda.
Right. So, I wonder if they're doing all these shows and they're literally, instead of giving characters intro movies like Shang-Chi or Captain America or Black Panther, if they're saying let's introduce these smaller characters in like these kind of quick shows. So that way people can't say that, well, they only showed up in WandaVision, for example, Monica. Well, she only showed up in WandaVision, you know, and it wasn't her show. It was Wanda's show. But now if you send her a whole show around a character, you make it 5 episodes, you make it real quick, you know, people can consume that a lot easier. And then you don't really have that. Well, I'm not watching a whole 9 episode show week to week about one character that may show up somewhere else. And you can this is more bite size.
And it's reviewed better. It's reviewed a lot kinder when they do it that way.
Yeah.
One thing that was missing in the complaints field for Echo was that people didn't complain that it dragged out or took too long because they dumped it all at once. And it was about 4 hours.
And either you wanted to watch all of it.
You wanted to watch or you didn't. If you didn't want to watch it, you didn't have to see week to week advertisements about it and complain about it not being paced fast enough.
Hate watching.
Yeah, hate watching. So that every week you can talk about why you can ask, why is this show still going on?
Because you talking about it. That's why.
So I think putting it all out at once.
Right.
And letting people just watch it at once instead of dragging it out.
I think was good.
A lot.
Right. And I think we all had egg on our face when we were like, oh, they're putting it all out at once because they don't have any faith in it. I think that proved to be incorrect.
That's true.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. We were wrong. Sorry, Marvel. We were wrong.
And I think that's also why I liked, and we're talking a lot about Echo, but only because we think that Ironheart should follow the same template. But I think that for me personally, watching the show week to week, I have to get mentally prepared. I have to prepare my snack. I have to prepare the place that I'm sitting. Block the time off. A lot of the stuff we watch virtually. So we have to make sure everybody's on FaceTime. We have to make sure everybody's synced up at the same time.
Right. Make sure I don't leave 5 minutes before you start to go get something to eat.
And that's a lot of preparation to do once per week for an episode that might be 39 minutes.
You're right.
And
You're right.
The last 6 minutes is actually just the credits in English and in French and Japanese.
Beautiful credits.
Beautiful credits. So
you're right. I agree. I'm curious when this is coming out and amongst the other things that are out. So other TV shows we are waiting for Agatha, which will come out this year, apparently, or supposedly. There's the Eyes of Wakanda show that got announced. That's animated. Wonder Man, which is filming. And then we have Ironheart, which is done filming. So I wonder where the other 3 outside of Agatha, where they falling. Very curious.
So going over the cast of Ironheart, we have Dominique Thorne, who is returning for the role of Riri Williams and who was originally introduced in Black Panther 2.
Wakanda Forever.
I believe the villain is going to be the Hood, who is...
Not Red Hood? Who is Red Hood?
Red Hood is from Batman.
Oh, sorry.
The Hood is a character who, in the comics, he finds this like magical cloak that gives him like all these different abilities, mainly like teleportation. And he gets like magic... He gets like a gun that shoots magic bullets that he never has to reload, but the bullets are like anti-magic, so like... He can shoot a wizard, and the wizard can't like deflect them because they're like anti-magic bullets.
So kryptonite,
like magical kryptonite.
Okay,
yeah,
all right, sure.
But he's going to be played by Anthony Ramos, who is from a lot of things, but he was from the Hamilton musical, and he was also just in the Transformers Beast Rise of the Beast,
which I liked,
movie, which was really good, which is a good return for the Transformers franchise.
I'm gonna stop you right there. Sure. According to Wikipedia, he's an ally of Williams, but you think he's actually a villain?
Yeah, he's a villain.
Oh, okay.
The Hood is never a good guy.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
And it's part of the reason it's like the Hood is like the Darkhold, where if you wear it, you're bound to just be evil.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Are those the most notable people in this? Ryan Coogler was an executive producer, so you kind of tied it in. When we were talking about Ryan Coogler and jumped to Ironheart.
Oh, so he is involved on this too? That's good.
He's the executive producer.
Alden Ehrenreich is also joining the cast. He was just recently in Oppenheimer, but people may know him as young Han Solo from the Solo film. Okay.
A lot of
other just random people.
performers.
Who some are actors, some are just public figures. Shea Coulee, who I think is from Drag Race, is one of the actors.
Oh, I
on the
did
show.
hear about that. Okay.
Yeah, so they have just a bunch of and it takes place in New York. So they just may have a bunch of New York personalities or actors or actresses, people who are based in the area joining the cast. Kind of like Luke Cage.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wonder if Daredevil will show up. We talked about this and how Ironheart can't connect to the street level because she'd be too powerful.
Yeah, if she could one shot kill Kingpin.
Right.
So
okay, never mind.
Daredevil may show up in the background, but she's not going to be part of the Defenders or the street level heroes.
That'll be interesting because we're gonna have. Oh, I forgot. Daredevil Born Again, another show we don't have a date for coming out. If she's in New York and they're in New York, I feel like you can't ignore that. And Kate Bishop is in New York. We're gonna have to tie some loose ends there.
Yeah. And that's very comic booky because a lot of characters in the comic books are in New York.
Spider-Man
is
also in New York.
Yeah. A lot of comic book characters live in New York and they just run into each other all the time. Or you'll see them in the background.
Okay, so they're either going to tell us to act like we don't know all these people in the same space, or they're going to be there's going to be cameos and dropping hints all over the place once these shows come out.
Cree Summer is also in the show.
Oh, okay.
And if you don't know who Cree Summer is, she has voiced every cartoon of your childhood.
Susie from Rugrats is probably the most popular.
From Rugrats. She was in Tiny Toons, Inspector Gadget, Clifford the Big Red Dog, Codename Kids Next Door. I think she played number 5. She's been in she's done a bunch of voice acting. So she's an icon. Legend. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. I did not know she was in this.
Yeah. I'm interested in seeing a trailer. I have a more positive outlook on this going into it than I did on Echo, only because I didn't feel like we got enough of Echo before she got her own show. But I did like her introduction in Wakanda Forever.
Yes, I agree.
And she seemed very capable. She seemed very smart.
Yes.
So we don't have to watch her on the road to becoming smart.
Oh yeah, she's already established her genius.
And she wasn't like one of those irritating young superheroes.
Right.
She obviously has some type of intelligence.
She's kind of like, she's not who I'm trying to think.
She's like Shuri, but who grew up not being a princess. Right.
Kind of how like Peter Parker kind of had to fumble his way through being Spider-Man. We don't get an already established Riri. Yeah. So I like that.
I like that a lot.
Okay, so that is all for our news this week. Short, sweet, and to the point. And then we're going to jump into our review, which is a show review this week for Monarch Legacy of Monsters.
Sweet. Okay, it is time for our review segment for this episode, and we are not reviewing a movie this time. We are reviewing a series
Switch it up.
Monarch Legacy of Monsters, which is a 10-hour TV show, which is a spinoff of the Godzilla / King Kong films, the current ones, and the current timeline that they've created. And this was released on Apple TV Plus.
Listen, nobody calls it that. I just realized, I was like, who's calling it Apple TV Plus? Why?
I think Apple TV is the box. I think
Apple TV, you're right.
And then the Plus is the subscription.
Okay, I'm like,
service.
what is the Plus supposed to indicate?
We just call it Apple TV.
Right.
It was released on November 17th, 2023. Created by Chris Black and Matt Fraction.
And we were just, before we unpaused, we were talking about Matt Fraction because he is very, very notable in the comic book space.
Yes, he's written a lot of comic books.
Resume long.
His most popular comic book would be the Hawkeye comic book, which ended up inspiring the Hawkeye Disney Plus TV show, even though they weren't exactly the same, but that's what inspired it. Okay. So he's a very good comic book writer. It was based on, of course, Godzilla, the King of Monsters, and I mean, I guess King Kong now. I guess it's their shared universe. Because I guess now that they're like in the same official
because Kong
timeline now.
Versus Godzilla versus Kong, and now we have Godzilla X Kong.
Yeah.
This is basically based on Godzilla, period.
Yeah, it's mostly based on Godzilla.
Right. And I guess before we get further, we're spoiling this. So if you haven't seen it, we're going to spoil it.
Runtime of 1 hour per episode for 10 episodes. I don't think there was a short one.
I think the shortest one might have been like 41-ish minutes. Yeah, but they were all
like a full hour.
They did.
Uninterrupted. So lots of content. No cinema score because this did not go to theaters. So there was nobody to poll. We have no budget information because it is a streaming show.
Apple said, no, you don't need it.
But it looks expensive.
But it looks like Apple spent money on it.
The creator looked expensive, so I'm questioning everything.
You're right. And you're saying that because the creator only cost $80 million.
Yeah.
But this definitely looked like $80 million more.
Yeah.
In terms of budget.
Costed a lot more.
Like they went place to place. And I don't think that was the volume.
And they didn't skimp on the monsters.
They did not.
So even though you would think a TV show based on something like Godzilla would skimp you on the monsters.
They didn't skip on the monsters. They also didn't skip on set design.
Set design and CGI was amazing.
Right. Because when you have monsters that are the size of buildings or bigger, like your set needs to be huge. So, and
I don't think they used the volume. So it was all just raw VFX work.
That mean it's Apple. Y'all buy all them products. I'm using a Mac. They got the money.
Right. That's true. This is literally sponsored by Apple.
They need to be. Need to be. Put us on the front page Apple Podcast, please.
Has a Rotten Tomatoes critic score of 90%, which is great. But it also has an audience score of 78%, which I feel like is low. But I
as well.
Get why. I think there are people who explicitly do not like humans in monster movie stories, especially Godzilla stories. So the only reason I can see it being below 90% audience score is for the people who just don't care about humans. And I am
too much of the story.
Yeah, I am one of those people who don't care about humans and monster stuff. But this one did it really well.
I would agree.
So this did turn me around on it. Other facts we have listed here. It is the 6th installment in the second television series in the MonsterVerse franchise.
What is the other TV show?
Oh, this was the Skull Island show on Netflix.
You're right. I just got to that Skull Island that came out it came out last year in June.
Yeah, so this would be like the Camp Cretaceous of the Jurassic Park movies. I don't even recall
this being a show.
I don't think it was unlike Camp
animated.
Cretaceous. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So unlike Camp Cretaceous,
you literally meant like that because it's animated.
Camp Cretaceous was very popular.
Cretaceous.
Is it Cretaceous?
Cretaceous for the Cretaceous period.
What's Cretaceous?
That's nothing. I think that's like a seashell, isn't it? I don't know.
Crustacean?
Sounds like a croissant to
know.
me. I'm hungry. Go ahead.
Pronunciation issues.
Right.
I wonder if there's anything So now I'm questioning, when did Skull Island take place?
Because Camp Cretaceous, because we're nerds. I'm a nerd, and I really like Camp Cretaceous. There is a website where somebody literally laid out
the timeline
of Jurassic Park. So from the very first Jurassic Park to the very last one, and included where Camp Cretaceous fell in. And in Camp Cretaceous, there were literal scenes, not out of the movie, but it would be like, oh, there's a scene in Jurassic World where, what's her name? Redhead. Who's the daughter?
Bryce Dallas Howard?
Yes, where her character's boss, I can't remember his name, is flying a helicopter. He crashes into the...
It's Ronnie.
Yes, he crashes into the bird.
The bird cage.
Yes, in Camp Cretaceous, there's a scene where they see that happening. And it's like, oh, snap, that's the exact same time. So I'm wondering if in Skull Island, they had references to the movies the same way that the Jurassic Park show did.
Okay, sorry for our Jurassic Park lore. Sidebar. But back to Monarch Legacy of Monsters. This show follows the Godzilla movie that took place in 2000. I think it came out in 2015 or 14.
It came out in 2014.
2014. So this takes place after what's going to be considered the first canon Godzilla movie for this new universe.
And this Godzilla movie this is the one with Aaron Taylor Johnson and Elizabeth Olsen.
Yes, not playing brother and sister, but playing husband and wife.
Right.
It also had Bryan Cranston.
And Ken Watanabe.
Yes.
Is also in this one.
Yep. And they're good for bringing characters back in these movies, so that's good.
Also, random, it was directed by the same director of The Creator.
The first 2 episodes of this show, Monarch Legacy of Monsters, is directed by Matt Shankman, who was also the director of WandaVision and the upcoming Marvel Fantastic Four movie that we still have not been revealed a cast about. So,
right. We in good hands, though, it seems like.
Do you want to summarize the plot, spoiler free?
So we are in the year 2015.
Okay.
And Godzilla is known. So this is not a show where no one knows Godzilla exists.
He's already attacked San Francisco.
There's already been one. They call it G-Day. Mm-hmm. He's already attacked San Francisco. So wherever you go in other places around the world, there's like evacuation plans. So we follow a basically brother-sister duo that are trying to figure out how their father connect to Monarch. So they don't know anything about Monarch. They kind of don't know enough about their dad, to be honest, but we find out why later. And they get with their, I don't think they know at the beginning, but they get with a
uncle figure.
There we go. They get with an uncle figure who is played by both his name is Lee Shaw. That's the character's name, Lee Shaw. But Lee is played by both Wyatt Russell and Kurt Russell, who are son and father in real life. Mm-hmm. And the show takes place in 2 different times. So we are in I can't think of what the older time is, but we are like way back in the day with young Lee Shaw and his people back then, played by Wyatt Russell. And then we are also in more present day in 2015 with older Lee Shaw, who is played by Kurt Russell. So Kurt is Lee is kind of the connecting piece between the 2 different timelines. Mm-hmm. So he is trying to help the brother and sister figure out what Monarch is and how Godzilla fits in all of what is happening.
Okay. So
I think that was pretty much it without spoiling it.
It takes place in 1954.
54.
Which is also the same year as the first Godzilla movie. So that's like a little Easter egg thing that they try to tie it to the original Godzilla lore, where Godzilla was first premiered in 1954. Okay. And Lee Shaw and Monarch first discover Godzilla in 1954. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I will say that it sounds like it would be confusing to jump between 54 and 2015 in the show. It's not. So basically, they're trying to look for their dad. Mm-hmm. So the brother and the sister don't know their brother and sister at the beginning of the show. No. Come to find out, the dad worked for Monarch, and they think he died in a plane crash. So the daughter goes to Tokyo to go to her dad's apartment to like collect his things, of what he had. He's missing, presumed dead, mm-hmm. from a plane crash off of like Alaska or something. But when she gets there, she finds a whole family. She finds her dad's other wife and his son. So
and I think the son is older.
I think he is older. Yes, because we don't see how he meets the daughter's mom, but we do see how he meets the son's mom. Mm-hmm. So yes, I think the son is older, but basically the dad who worked for Monarch was two-stepping with 2 different people. Yeah. Around the same time, because they ain't that far apart. And the brother and sister basically go off to find their dad because they suspect that he might still be alive. And this is how they keep running into these monsters. And then they also discover their uncle figure, who's Lee, who's played by Kurt Russell, who is basically one of the people who started Monarch back in the 50s, essentially.
So let's cover the cast, because this show is very human focused. Mm-hmm. So I guess it'd be a lot easier to follow if you know who we're talking about.
Right.
So cast wise, we have a bunch of new people like ingenues that I haven't seen in anything else before. Mm-hmm. So we have Anna Sawai, who plays Kate Randa.
She's the sister.
She is the sister character. We have Ren Watabe, mm-hmm. who plays Kentaro, who is the brother.
Yep.
So these are the 2 main characters, the brother and sister duo. Mm-hmm. We have Kersey Clemens, who plays a character named May, who is the ex-girlfriend of Kentaro, mm-hmm. but she rounds out the throuple. So basically, they're like 3 people. They're the gang. Mm-hmm. We follow these 3 people as they go place to place. May is like a close friend.
Yep.
We also have Wyatt and Kurt Russell, who both played Lee Shaw, as you can see them in 2 different time periods. Mm-hmm. We have Anders Holm, who plays a younger version of Bill Randa.
Right.
Now, if you're wondering who Bill Randa is, Bill Randa was originally played by John Goodman's character
mm-hmm. in
Kong Skull Island.
Right.
Which also had Brie Larson and Tom Hiddleston and Samuel Jackson.
Correct.
Where, if you have seen that movie or have not, spoiler alert, John Goodman got ate. So John Goodman got ate by a monster.
Which is interesting
Kinda
watching
in the same
this
vein that Samuel Jackson got ate by that shark in Deep Blue Sea.
Right. It's interesting watching this show because the Bill Randa character is younger because this is pre John Goodman going to Skull Island, and like what happens to him. He like, oh, you ain't gonna make it.
Yeah, you're gonna die. You're
not
gonna get eaten.
You gonna make it to Skull Island, but you ain't gonna make it after that.
Yeah, and also stars Mari Yamamoto as Keiko, who plays the love interest of both Bill Randa and Lee Shaw.
Correct.
But her primary job is she is basically the lead scientist who's investigating the monsters for Monarch. Yeah.
So we have two thruples. We got the ones in the 50s, which is Bill Randa, Keiko, and young Lee Shaw. And then in present day, our thruple is Kate, Kentaro, and May. And then Lee Shaw is kind of like their guide in a sense. So that's how you get the past trio, and then you get a current trio.
We also have two other actresses in this film who became some of our favorites. We have Miralee Taylor, who plays Natalia Verdugo, who is the deputy director of Monarch, which Monarch is the organization that's been pretty much all of these monster movies. They're the shield.
There it is. I was trying to think of what's relatable. It's Shield of Monsters.
They're like, and she's basically the Nick Fury of Monarch in the show.
Yep.
And we also have Dominique Tipper, who plays Brenda Holland, who is an executive at Apex, which is, we're not going to spoil that yet, but Apex is a company that was involved in the Godzilla vs. Kong movie. But Dominique Tipper is also an actress from one of our favorite shows, The Expanse.
Yeah. If you haven't seen it, go watch it. It's on Amazon.
And I was very pleasantly surprised to see her the very first time.
I agree.
I was like, hey.
And she's not playing the same. She's playing a different character in this.
It's a range.
Right. My favorites were, it changed throughout the show. Put it that way. As the show progressed, because this is this is the most human-focused Godzilla thing that's probably ever existed in a good way. At first, I did not like the brother. He was very whiny to me. Yeah. But at the end, I liked the brother because then he was kind of like, I'm tired of this. I'm over it. Let's go home. The sister I liked in the beginning. And then in the end, you find out that the sister has inherited her father's trait. Infidelity. Like, dang, I can't like you either. Meg was cool at first. And then Meg was real skittish. So I was like, I like you, May. I was kind of indifferent on May. And at the end, I was kind of like, oh, May into some mess. Yeah. And I was like, okay, I understand where May was coming from. I did not like the, what is her name again? I forgot her name. Verdugo.
Didn't like her at the beginning.
I did not like her. Because she gives off very like, I'm in charge. I'm at the head of or not the head of Monarch, but she was up there. She was C-suite.
It seemed like she was trying to keep the Godzilla thing under wraps, and it's like, girl, the world, we have Godzilla evacuation centers, right? Like, you can't keep this a secret,
right? So at first I didn't like her, but at the end I really liked her. And then Lee Shaw, it flipped because you didn't know if he was good or if he was bad. So I'm like, because I like Kurt Russell in general, but his character started off, he like, oh, okay, he with them, and then he'd be like, is he? Wait, what is he doing? Oh, he's sneaky. You're like, I like him again.
He kept you guessing because even in the very beginning, I was with him because I'm always with the character that knows that there's a conspiracy and refuses to be silent about it. So and he was very much like, Godzilla is a threat. They're trying to act like it's not a big thing. I know all the secrets. Right. They clearly did a lot to keep him quiet by putting him in a senior center that was like super locked down with an ankle monitor.
They find him in some sort of like old people home.
Yeah, exactly.
with a bracelet on.
But then once they get him out, and it seems like his motivations were changing a little.
Yeah, it was. He did very good. He did good, and I even liked Wyatt also. So I like old Lee and young Lee. And then we also have Bill Randa. He was fine. The actor who played him was fine. And then Keiko, she was also cool. She was like the smart one being discriminated against. So you was kind of already on her side.
Yeah, so it's 1954. So we're talking after Pearl Harbor.
Yes.
So there was a lot of xenophobia.
Correct. And they put it in the show. Like they put, because she works, the Monarch trio from the 50s worked for the military. Yeah. So, I mean, you can imagine what the military was like being a person of color. Right. I think I like Kurt Russell and Wyatt Russell the best. The way that Kurt Russell did that whole can we trust him, can we not trust him was good.
Mm-hmm.
And then I like Wyatt Russell's kind of trying to navigate being in the military, but also trying to help his friends at this point keep, Monarch is true to his essence, and he couldn't really because the military.
Yeah.
So I'm going to say Kurt and Russell were my favorite. Not Kurt and Russell. The father-son.
Kurt and Wyatt.
There you go. I was like, Kurt and Russell.
I'm going to say Kate was my favorite character.
Okay.
And she wasn't my favorite character in the beginning because she's
kind of rude.
She was kind of rude, but then she also had I felt for her because she clearly had really intense PTSD from
she did
surviving
she kept
the first
having
Godzilla
flashbacks
attack.
of the first Godzilla. Yeah.
And then eventually it felt like she was the only grown-up left in the group. Because even when Kentaro kept complaining about having to still look for their dad, and even when May kept complaining about having to keep looking
just
for
be
their
there,
dad,
period.
Right. Just complaining about being present. Kate eventually became the only person who was kind of just like, please shut up, because we are clearly going to still do this.
We're going to do it anyway.
Yeah, we've made it this far. We're not turning around.
It's finished because there's so many characters in this. She was still kind of the center, I would say.
Yeah, she's definitely lead. She was definitely the lead character in it because we spend the most time with her. Correct. There's times when even though her and Kentaro are the main characters, there is times when we are completely away from Kentaro.
Right.
Especially in the last episode for extended periods of time, and we're just following Kate and May or Kate and Lee.
Mm-hmm.
I turned around on Verdugo because she became less are you on our side or not Nick Fury, and she became more just regular Nick Fury.
I agree.
Where it's
I agree.
She's putting the team together.
She wants to do good, but she just knows the red tape.
She knows people.
There it is.
She's like, I want to keep she ultimately wants to keep the world safe from monster attacks. She doesn't even really want to kill the monsters.
Right.
Necessarily. She just wants to keep people safe. But she also understands that people are annoying, and in order to do this job, you have to put up with them.
Yeah.
So I really like that element of her character. Least favorite will probably be Tim.
It took me a while to get. So Tim was Verdugo's employee. Basically, he's a Monarch employee.
Yeah.
But he was basically in a basement because I think he was kind of annoying, and I see why.
Because he's not even her number two. He's somebody who works super low level in Monarch who just happened to work in the same office that their dad
the original trio worked in the 50s.
So he had all their files and stuff.
He was only my least favorite because he did the least, I think.
I thought he was going to be the smart guy who
he didn't come off very
figured
smart.
out everything, but they didn't need him. Kate and Kentaro and May figured out how to use the map. They figured out how to track Godzilla. Even in the end, they figured out how to navigate to get to where the monsters were coming from in the first place. He didn't do anything I thought he was going to be the guy in the chair for Monarch, but
no.
Verdugo clearly had a bunch of guys in chairs.
They had another girl who was another actress that was playing a girl in a chair.
His main job was to run around and shout.
Yes, you're right.
Make everybody nervous.
You're right. I like how the moms reacted to finding out that the dad was cheating. And then at the end, they were just kind of screw him.
Neither one of us need you.
Right.
Yeah. I love the fact that the moms were they were reasonably devastated because their husband was missing and presumed dead.
Yeah.
But after they found out that he wasn't, and then they found out that they both shared secret families with this man, they were both kind of just there's literal monsters walking around Earth. We don't need you.
Right. You know what? Now that we talk about that, the dad was my least favorite.
Yeah, the dad was,
Dad would be least favorite.
And I totally forgot about him being a character in the show.
Right, which is probably a sign.
Yeah.
One, because he was two-timing two women and made two whole families.
So you're already irredeemable.
Right. Second, because he abandoned both families unnecessarily, in my opinion. You could have told one that you were still alive.
Right. And
then 3, he really only kind of came in hand at the very, very, very end.
Kind of. Because in Godzilla King of Monsters, which is the one with 11 from Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown, and Vera Farmiga. Vera Farmiga has a device that's in this little briefcase. It's basically a briefcase computer device. that she uses that sends out these signals that calls the monsters. It's basically like a cell phone for the different monsters.
A beacon of sorts.
You can tune it to specific frequencies depending on this monster, and they'll respond to it. In this show, we find out that actually came from a different Japanese scientist,
right?
Who already had developed like a prototype for it,
right?
And it's 1954, so it looks ridiculous.
Little jank.
The prototype looks like a giant globe. By the time we get to present day, it's the size of a tablet. But he developed this prototype which does the same thing. It creates the frequencies that summons the monsters depending on what type of frequency. That determines what kind of monster you get responding back to you. That was a big part of this. Their dad somehow acquired it. Did we really get an answer how he got possession of it?
No, I mean, I guess it's just assumed that he worked for Monarch, like his parents came from. Basically, Monarch is his family's legacy. Right. It's the kids and the dad's family legacy. So I'm just going to assume it got passed down.
So in present day 2015, when the show takes place, the dad has gotten a hold of this device that summons the monsters.
Right.
And he has been using it to...
We don't know.
Yeah. To do
I was going to say...
He's just been running around causing chaos because he summons them, but he doesn't seem to know what to do with them after they show up.
So they find the dad, and I can think of what episode it in, maybe like midway through the show. They find the dad, and I actually didn't think they were. I thought they were going to find the dad and...
I thought he was going to find his corpse.
There it is. I thought they was going to find that man gone.
Right.
Like just missed him by a hair type of situation. But they find him alive, and they find him trying to unearth one of the monsters. And he's like, no, they're happy to see him. And they're like, dad, dad, dad. And he's like, no, go away. Because one of the monsters come up, but we don't ever get to explain what. I kind of tried to take away from the end of the show that he was trying to get to where the monsters were. I don't know. I don't know. It didn't
even seem like he even knew about the portals or where to find them. Lee did.
Yes, Lee did, because Lee actually got stuck down where the monsters were, or I guess the in-between world of where the monsters were back in the 50s, because they try to go down there being, basically like humans try to go to space, they try to go down to where the monsters were.
Right. But
I don't know what he was doing.
His overall motivation was to try to finish the work that his mom had started, but
is that what it was?
That work was done. Monarch existed, and the world knew about Godzilla, so they didn't need you running around trying to wake them up. Yeah, they didn't need you running around in secret trying to wake them up to do.
Yeah, God and maybe that was just there. There could be. I know our next section is what would we change. The writing on that could have been better.
Specific characters, like him. Like the overall writing of the show made sense, and I didn't really have a lot of plot holes, other than the fact that the dad's motivation for why he abandoned his families to look for these monsters didn't make sense, because the world already knew about these monsters. Right. And don't you think you would have been more effective if you had just continued to work with Monarch?
Because I thought maybe it would have been revealed that he was trying to... So Lee is basically trying to keep the monster. He's trying to prevent another G-Day. So Lee's whole motivation is the monsters are coming up through these portals in the ground. And Godzilla is trying to keep the monsters down there. So Godzilla is actually good in this. Right. And he's trying to keep all these different monsters that we are seeing during the show back home. Like, you're not welcome here. Lee is trying to close the portals off so that they don't have a way. Basically trying to give Godzilla an assist. So what I don't understand is why would the dad let Lee, his uncle figure now, sit in a nursing home for years, decades, several decades, when he knows that his uncle was down there? What was he even like? Why when you talk to your uncle, like, yo, what was it like? How'd you get down there? How'd you get back? Nothing?
I don't think Shaw is trying to... I think Shaw on the Monarch side isn't trying to kill the monsters. He's just trying to protect the world. I think Kentaro wants the monsters dead. Oh, okay. Because he thinks that they're responsible.
The dad wants the monsters dead.
Right. He thinks they're responsible for Keiko, his mom, the grandmother, being killed in action.
I'll buy it.
What was that? In
1950s, right?
1950s, 1960s by the time she died. Because I think that they were together. They were a group for like years.
Right.
after 1954.
Sure.
Yeah.
I'll go with that.
So they finally run into the dad in the desert after Kate, Kentaro, May, and
the trio.
Shaw.
Yep. The trio and Shaw.
And Shaw's Maria Hill and her band and his band of merry mercenaries track the dad down in the desert. You would think that he would be happy to see his kids, but he immediately sees his kids and tells them to run.
Yep.
And he immediately runs because he was doing something with the freaking monster frequency emitter, and he woke up Godzilla.
Yeah. Was it just Godzilla? I think it was just Godzilla.
It was just Godzilla in the desert.
Maybe not every single episode. Maybe every other episode or so. We saw an actual monster. So as the trio and Lee at a certain point helps them, and as they're going from place to place trying to track their dad down, they keep running into monsters.
Yes.
Big monsters. This is where budgets start coming in.
Yeah, they're all like big.
Huge.
Yeah.
I mean, winged, tentacles, legs.
In the desert, it's Godzilla.
Fire.
In the Arctic, it's like this
thing that breathes fire, though, right?
Thing that does it breathe fire? Does it
absorb
heat?
I think it absorbed heat.
It absorbed heat and turned it into cold or something.
You're right. Some
of them had like, they weren't all like King Kong and Godzilla where they just like scratch each other to death. Some of them had like powers.
These are straight up like fantasy monsters.
Some of these things have like
these ain't your basics.
Yeah.
These ain't your basic monsters.
Some of them are like dragons, some are bugs.
Right. Yeah. So you get what was good about this show is you got a good balance of monster fights, monsters showing up, the characters having to get away from monsters, and you had all the drama going on with the brother and sister finding out that they related, and May got a whole secret life that she ain't told nobody about that we don't find out till like 3/4 of the way through the show. You got Lee not knowing if he good or if he bad. Is he trying to find a monster? You got the dad being shady. So it was a good old mix of like monster drama and people drama.
You also have, I mean, we've only been kind of focusing on the present day 2015 group.
Oh yeah.
If you go back into the 1950s, we're with young Lee, young Bill Randa, and Keiko, and they're having to deal with funding because the three of them started Monarch. Just the three of them globetrotting and finding these monsters.
So I don't know if we said, we know who Lee is. That's the uncle. We know who Bill is. That's John Goodman. And then Keiko is the grandmother.
Yeah, she's the grandmother of Kate
Dad
and Kentaro.
There
and
it is.
She's the missing dad's mom.
Correct.
Now, what we know in present day is that in present day, she was presumed dead.
The original trio in the 50s go out looking for like they hear some sounds or whatever. They're going to go check something out, and she falls into a ditch because some big old looking nasty monster bugs.
Larva looking things.
So gross. Like cockroaches on 25,000. Come grab her, and then she's holding on to Lee, and Lee loses her. So she falls into some pit and dead.
Yeah, and she's presumed dead. So back in the 1950s, we're with them having to deal with the military getting involved because they've reported their monster sightings, and then we're dealing with there's a love triangle there because they both Lee and Bill Randa both seem to be in love with Keiko, even though Keiko seems to officially be in a relationship with Bill.
Yes.
But there's like a will they won't they thing with Lee.
Yep.
But we also see how the military first responded to we get our first Godzilla appearance.
Yep.
And how and they kind of do this in every Godzilla movie where they try to nuke them first and then they deal with the consequences after that.
Right.
So they try to nuke him.
They lure him out
using the frequency emitter thing.
The military being the military.
They find out that the Monarch, our three Monarch trio in the 50s, find out that all of the monsters are radioactive and they respond to nuclear stuff. So they're like, the military is like, great, we have an atomic bomb. Let's lure him out to the bomb and blow him up when he tries to bite into it.
Because that sounds like it would work.
So they do. And I assume Godzilla was like, this is annoying, and swam off because they assume he's dead.
Yeah. So for, I don't know, several episodes when we are, time jumping, the 1950s crew think he dead.
Yeah.
And Keiko is, she's upset about it because she's like, we're finding, the these are like new creatures. We've never seen these before. We don't know where he's from. We can learn, you know, being a true doctor scientist wants to learn. The military, being true military, wants to destroy.
Right.
So they blew him up. They think they blew him up.
Right.
And then some point, I don't know, 4 or 5 episodes later, we find out, of course.
They just see him swimming somewhere.
Right. He ain't blown up. Right. He chilling, he's living his life, protecting the earth like he's supposed to be. And they eventually go back and tell the military, like, guess what? It ain't worked.
Yeah. He's
y'all
been chilling
stupid
for a couple of years, but he's absolutely unscathed by y'all nuclear attack.
Right. He got a little itch. He scratched it and went about his business.
Right.
Essentially. So that was that reveal basically is what helps them though get money, get more funding.
So now they're an official branch because
right.
clearly the military has realized clearly
the nuke ain't work.
Right. We have no power here. So we're just
right.
going to fund Monarch as much as we can so they
right.
can continue to study these things. So at least we have a tab on them.
Right. So Keiko ends up dying as they're doing like kind of their missions.
Right.
Bill and Lee kind of continue working on Monarch and Lee eventually falls. They find a portal. They find one of these little portals or whatever in the ground. And, you know, people being people, gotta go somewhere. Just like, you know, we see something new. We gotta go check it out. So they build this little, it's not a spaceship because they don't go to space. They build this little globe of sorts and send Lee and some other people down to this portal where.
Well, before that. So we're during that, the way that they get down there.
Yeah.
They find out the only way to... So basically the portals are made of like all of this type of...
energy?
It's like space-time continuum magic happening down there.
Yeah.
So when you go through the portal, space and time changes. But
of course.
So a human can't just walk through it because you'll disintegrate, I'm assuming.
Right.
So the only way to get through the portal is to lure a monster to go through the portal as well.
Yeah.
Because it disrupts the energy.
Now, did they know that in the 50s? They didn't know that yet, I don't think.
I don't think they knew that yet, but that ends up coming into
the final
play.
Yeah.
Because they send Shaw and them down there.
Right.
And they go through the portal.
Oh, and it gets all crazy. Right.
So they go through the portal and I guess it's called Axis Mundi.
Yeah, so Keiko officially labels it Axis Mundi, which is, it means something.
It means the halfway point. I looked it up. Hold on one second.
Because I think most people probably originally thought that it was the same space that was in the Godzilla versus Kong movie where Kong goes down and basically finds his people. Yeah. And I can't think of what that space is called. Everybody thought it was that, but this in the series, right? We thought it looks a lot like Hollow Earth, but Hollow Earth is bigger.
Yeah. So
we don't really know.
Axis Mundi, it's Latin. It means world axis, and it says it refers to the center of the earth or the point at which heaven meets the earth. So in this sense, it's the midway between surface earth and hollow earth.
Right.
So this Axis Mundi, which is a new world which has never been touched on or explored on, because we all expected them to end up in hollow earth.
Correct.
Because it looks the same.
They got the same visuals.
They just look like jungle.
Yeah. Very bright.
Very cheap to shoot in, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah.
It's just jungle.
It's all green.
But they switch out the wildlife.
Correct.
So all the
bugs.
all the Hollow Earth and Axis Mundi wildlife is like freaky.
Yeah. It's very
and will probably eat people.
Yes. Yeah. Yes, correct.
So Wyatt Lee Shaw gets down to Axis Mundi and I assume that their agenda is to research, but he's down there because he's looking for Keiko, or at least looking for science.
You think Keiko. He was down there?
I think in the back of his mind, he
thought she was down there.
I might run into Keiko.
Okay.
Even though it looks completely different in the 50s, it looks like a wasteland in the 50s, but it looks like a fully grown forest
when we see it later.
Present day.
Yeah. It's huge though, so who knows, right?
Right.
Who knows?
That's true. So they get down there, they find that it's what it is. It's an entirely different world beneath our world. I think they're down there.
It looks like the quantum realm, basically.
They're down there for like a couple days because they're trying to figure out how to get back. And then they find out the only way to get through is to lure a monster.
But not in the 50s, they didn't. Well, they get sucked through to go down there, but he's the only one that comes back. Remember, his people don't survive. He comes back and he literally lands in the middle of nowhere.
Like not even in the same place.
No, he lands in like a field of
Yeah.
trees. So Lee goes down there in the 50s to the Axis place that doesn't have a name yet. They haven't named it yet.
There's one of the little dragon monsters because there's a couple because we see
Right.
one in the 50s and we see
It shows up on like the radar or
so
something.
maybe there's like a gang of these flying beasts, but there's like this flying thing that's going through the portal,
right, the
leaving
same
Axis
time.
Monday to go to the surface,
Right.
and it creates this suction vortex thing, and it sucks Lee up
Right.
through it with him. Because, and I think that's why he got sucked up behind that monster that was leaving.
Okay.
But you notice that his crew wasn't with them, and the shuttle that they used to get there also got left behind. So maybe they just died there.
Oh, you're right, because we never
Maybe
go
they
back
just
to
died
them.
because they were stranded.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fair. Or they got eaten.
Yeah. But anyway, he gets back, and how much time has passed?
30-something years.
So we find out that that's where the space-time
Let
continuum
me see if I can
comes
find
into
the
play.
exact time, but go ahead.
Because we find out that even though Lee and them dropped through the portal and were probably gone for a couple days, by the time he gets back to Earth, 30 years have passed. Bill Randa has died on Skull Island. Bill Randa has grown up into John Goodman and got eaten on Skull Island.
Yep.
Keiko's son has grown up.
He is grown up, and now he is also working for Monarch. So he's continuing the family legacy, essentially. Yeah,
he's grown up. He's working as a scientist under Monarch now, and Lee hasn't aged a day.
So Lee comes back looking like Lee.
Yeah. So Lee comes back 30 years later looking the same age.
Yeah. And he's missed life. Like Earth has continued on. Lee been down there for what he thinks is a few days. And when he gets sucked back up, his friend is dead. He didn't find Keiko, if that's what he was looking for. Right. So she wherever she is. Earth has continued to go on. Monarch still exists.
It was pretty much presumed dead immediately because after they dropped them through, there was an explosion in the portal.
Yeah, and they pretty much just said it's canceled.
Yeah, and they didn't explain where the explosion in the portal came from.
Nope.
But basically, when they went through the portal, they were fine, but there was some type of like kickback from the portal, and the scientists thought we just killed our crew that we sent through. So pack it up.
That was it.
And they immediately went home and told everybody that they were dead, which I thought was funny because Bill immediately went to tell the little boy, Keiko's son, that they were dead. And it's like, has anybody tried
to find right?
Like when you shoot astronauts into space and you y'all lose communication for like 5 minutes, they don't turn around and say mission has failed. Right, our astronauts are dead. They literally
shut down that particular mission. Obviously, Monarch still continues. And then here was the craziest part of that episode was at the end. They stick Lee. They basically put him under house arrest in the facility.
Yeah, because Kantaro's just upset because he lost his mom. He lost his
dad, and he lost his uncle. Like all three of them are technically dead.
And then I guess he doesn't agree with Lee still wanting to explore.
Yes,
the
right.
world.
Because Lee comes back, his young self, and he's like, I've been down there, I've seen it. Like there's something down there we can research and explore. Everybody writes him off as crazy, essentially. And they put him in a home under house arrest, and he spends until he grows old, so he continues to age naturally now that he's back. And next time we see Lee, he goes from Wyatt Russell to Kurt Russell.
Right.
So it's been like decades.
It's like a 90-year-old, 60-year-old man.
Yes, exactly. So he spends decades, like 30-something years in a retirement home or nursing home or whatever, and that's where the kids find him. Essentially.
Right. And he's 90, but he's only 90 technically.
And that's something
technically was lost 30 years of his life in the portal.
And throughout this show, they keep trying to do the math. And they're like, if you were this age in the 50s, how are you how are you alive? Because he should be 90, but he looks like he about 60.
And that segues perfectly into the second to the last episode where Kate Lee and May.
Yep.
They have like a standoff because they've been chasing at some point between the show, probably in the halfway point. Lee branched off, got his Maria
Lee's still
Hill,
on a mission.
his Maria Hill and
his goons,
his band of mercenaries. They're like, you know what, Monarch's not moving fast enough for us. We need to get a jump on closing these portals right now. So he goes rogue and does his own thing.
Yep.
He leaves the brother and sister, Kate, Kentaro, and May behind.
Right, to do whatever.
They also weren't, they had their own things going on.
Mm-hmm.
Eventually they regroup and they're like, we're going to go hunt down Lee.
Yeah.
And at least see what he's doing.
Right. Why is he trying to set off these charges?
They run into him. There's kind of like a standoff, but eventually there is a disturbance.
Mm-hmm. He sets off one of the bombs, I think, but I don't know if he set it off and that is what caused things, or...
I think the bomb... Yeah, he started the detonator on the bomb and they didn't get out in time.
Right.
Yeah, because they spent too much time talking.
Right.
So the bomb goes off because they're supposed to be collapsing this portal.
Mm-hmm. That's what Lee's trying to do. Mm-hmm.
But they don't get out in time. So Lee, May, and Kate fall through the portal.
Yep.
Everybody else except for Kentaro, I think, is dead.
Kentaro and Tim.
So
what? We never saw Maria Hill again.
All of Lee's mercenaries are dead.
Maria
I'm
Hill
gonna
died.
Assume.
Yeah, because we don't see her. I forgot all about that.
But so
R.I.P.
Kate, May, and Lee fall through the portal, and they end up back in Axis Mundi.
Yes, and this is where we learn the name of Axis Mundi as well.
Who else do we find down there?
Listen, let me tell you something. So this got spoiled for you, and I hate that for you.
It did. It got spoiled.
I hate
for me.
that for you.
Twitter did not come in clutch.
So we find out now, mind you, Keiko fell, and Lee tried to save her in the 50s, and this was episode maybe 1 or 2.
This was episode 2.
And the show was 10 episodes long.
Yeah, so they tell us very early on that Keiko died.
Keiko's gone. Grandma made her demise trying to look for doing Monarch work. Mm-hmm. We get to this episode where Lee, May, and Kate have fallen to the portal. They've all separated because they've kind of landed in certain different spots. Lee and May find each other. Now they start looking for Kate. Kate is about to get eaten by some other nasty looking boar bug freaky thing, and somebody shoots an arrow at it. And the somebody is Keiko. It's Grandma. Grandma ain't dead. She's
Katniss Everdeen in the Upside Down.
Listen.
Not hunting animals, but at least
trying to survive.
Fighting for her life.
She alive.
So she somehow fashioned out a bow and arrow, which this goes to say...
She's a scientist, so I figured she was going to go with it.
I clearly need to get some YouTube videos or a Skillshare or something about how to craft, how survival crafting.
She didn't have YouTube in the 50s, sir.
Right, so... because I assume she just had that type of skill.
Knowledge to make bow and arrows.
As we move further into the future, we're losing some of our
recipes.
Yes, we're losing recipes.
Survival recipes.
So I need to make sure I at least do a skill share.
Because if I get stuck,
how to fashion a weapon out of sticks.
If I get stuck between here and Hollow Earth, just let me go.
So anyway, they find Keiko down there. We get a very nice reunion between Lee and Keiko. Mm-hmm. She's young. He's old.
Yeah,
she doesn't understand.
That was a good scene. So she had a son from a previous marriage, but she was a widow. She kind of kept her son hidden at the beginning of the show, but Bill eventually finds out, and Lee, and they kind of help her raise him. Lee's kind of like the uncle.
It takes a village.
Right. So Lee becomes the uncle. This is how he becomes the uncle of the son son who turns out to be the cheating daddy. Mm-hmm. And Bill becomes kind of like her man, basically. They become a couple. Old Lee has to tell unaged Keiko, because Keiko hasn't aged but 57 days, that Bill was gone.
Yeah, Bill's dead.
So Bill's gone, and now she's looking at Lee, because Lee looks 60, 70 years old. And the last time she saw Lee, he was like, I don't know, 27, 30.
I liked Kate getting to meet her grandmother.
Yes. Yep. Because we get the reveal that Keiko gets the reveal that the girl that she saved is actually her grandmother or granddaughter. Because she didn't know that. She was just like, girl, what are you doing down here?
Yeah.
Oh, she thought she was a rescue. She thought she was the rescue crew.
Yes.
She was like, oh, you're not a rescue crew. No. Kate's like, no, I'm sorry.
You're long presumed dead.
Yeah, like they think you dead. I'm just stuck here, unfortunately.
While they're down there, we get some scenes with Kentaro, who is woken up in the hospital.
Right.
I'm assuming on a private floor. Because nobody can know about what they did.
What the heck just happened.
And Verdugo basically tells them, hey, your sister and them probably dead.
Probably. Just like they assume everybody else who go down there.
Don't worry about it. I got it from here. You just go home.
You go home and grieve.
We get a scene with him and his dad that I did not care for because I just did not think his dad's motivations were enough for the things that he did.
Correct.
I mean, you cheated. He was the only person who left alive who Kentaro could go to, who knew a little bit about what was going on. I guess Tim.
And Tim was there.
So we get a scene with them kind of reconciling, at least coming together to decide that they have to do something to save Kate and May and Lee. Lee's shuttle from the 1950s is still there because he came back without it.
Right,
and it's still usable because lightning comes from the ground.
Sure.
In this world, which was cool. It's a cool effect.
It's upside down.
It was a cool effect. Yeah, it is the upside down. So lightning comes from the ground here. So Keiko could use the ground as a power source to power the shuttle to get them back.
I was a little upset. So basically, Lee don't make it out the end.
Lee sacrifices himself.
Because some other monster,
another winged beast,
is
trying to leave the
from
portal.
the shadows. It's like, portal time to go to Earth, get this party started. And he comes and it messes up them trying to leave. So Lee, it
unplugs the shuttle.
Yeah, it basically unplugs the electricity, and they need it to leave. So Lee goes out, tries to, connects it back up, and this is where we get a really bomb Godzilla fight.
So God kind of just shows up off screen.
Godzilla shows up like, now you can't leave out of here, winged beast.
I love how he's 5 bajillion pounds.
Oh, he's huge.
He's earth rattling every footstep.
Godzilla is so huge in this.
But
I'm like,
he
sir, how do you breathe?
Everybody. He just shows up.
He does.
He surprises
He'd be like, hey, y'all.
You can hear a storm rolling in.
Who cutting up now?
You can hear a storm rolling in, but Godzilla has like stealth mechanics.
Listen, he tiptoes. Tip, tip, tip on hardwood.
That is hilarious. So anyway, Godzilla shows up with nobody seeing or hearing him.
No.
And saves them.
He does. It's a good fight between him and the winged beast.
And it's a fight scene.
It's a full fight scene. A good knock 'em dead winged beast. But he basically allows them to escape. But Lee sacrificed himself, which I don't think he had to do, but I get it.
Does Godzilla have the intelligence to know that he needs to distract the monster so that they can power the
I'm going to
shuttle?
say yes. I'm voting yes. Okay. Godzilla is very smart and knows.
But the fight is going on. Lee hops out to plug it back up so that the shuttle has enough power to get home. And he tells Keiko, it's my turn to basically be in the upside down forever. Right. You go live your life.
Sure. Fine.
And I don't even think that's final because they get through, they leave Lee behind. But you notice the emitter part stayed. So he can still send the same signals.
Okay. I didn't notice
just
that.
like Keiko was.
Okay.
So he's going to come back.
I would definitely not be surprised.
And since we know time goes super
now he's
slow
stuck
down
at 65 or whatever.
Yeah. So that means by the time they do decide to bring him back, he'll still be Kurt Russell.
He will still be Kurt Russell.
And they don't have to age him up.
You're right. You're right. I wouldn't be surprised if they did, but I also wouldn't be surprised if they just kind of let that go. Either way.
So we do get an end of the episode cliffhanger.
Stinger. Pew, 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 pew.
So May, Keiko, and Kate make it back to the present day. But it is no longer the present day that they left from. Nope. It is now 2017 present day.
They've been down there for in our vision, it's been half an episode, so 10 minutes.
Yeah, so they've been down there for like maybe a couple hours.
Couple hours at the most, but on Earth, it's been 2 whole years.
Yes.
Which the way they do it is real slick. And because Kentaro, the brother, was like, oh yeah, a whole lot's changed in 2 years. And Kate's like, what do you mean? Yeah. So
they do the opposite this time than they did in the past when they went through the portal and came back and everybody presumed they were dead. This time when they came back, they pretty much had a welcoming party because they knew at this point that
people are just going down there and staying.
People can come back. So by the time they come back through the portal, they're not even in the same place. Now they're on Skull Island. So they have to So
that's the big reveal. There's a couple big reveals in the last 10 minutes. So the one is the fact they've been gone for 2 years. And then we get a family reunion between Keiko and the son because he thought his mom was dead all this time.
And now she's younger than him.
And now or they at least the same age.
Yeah.
So they're gonna have to address that if we get a season 2. There's that. There's also the fact that May's former boss, Shady Boss, who's played by Dominic Tipper, who works for Apex, is the one who funded the mission to go get them. and you didn't say this in the beginning because we were going to hold off. Apex is the same people who created Mechagodzilla in the movie, so they are not good people.
No.
So now we got Monarch. No, we don't have Monarch. We have Apex.
We still have Monarch. We just don't know what they're doing.
Right. We got Monarch and we got Apex. Two shady organizations.
So we have S.H.I.E.L.D. and Hydra.
Basically, who have saved the key people in our show. So we got that kind of to contend with. And then the last thing is the fact that we are on Skull Island and we find out because Kong shows up.
Yeah. Because they get an alert that Kong is getting too close to the facility, so they got to go inside.
Right. Because they're all like, family reunion. Oh my God, it's been 2 years, whatever. And then the alarm bells start going off. The military folk, they're like military, but they're really just kind of like S.H.I.E.L.D. goons. Are trying to rush everybody in because the last scene of the show is old Kong appearing over the trees.
I have questions because two things. Okay. One, the portal thing. So clearly going where you go through the portal does not determine where you come back out. You come back out
anywhere.
And it doesn't even have to be next to another portal.
You're right.
You can just come back out anywhere.
How did they know they were coming back there? Yeah.
If you go back and watch the scene, if you pay attention, they've built a machine that emits the portal in 2017.
Oh.
So they can control, if you come through a portal, they can control where you pop out.
Kind of like Thor. What do they call that thing?
It's like the Bifrost.
There it is.
They've basically created
the Bifrost thing.
So
in Godzilla,
they already could tell when something was coming through the portal because that's where the disturbances were coming from. But so now that they know where the disturbances are coming from, they have a device that can pull it out in a specific location.
Oh, that's not good.
It's not.
Not for Apex.
They had them on a landing pad.
They sure
when
did.
They came back.
Because when they come back, it almost looks like a landing pad / parking lot that has like lights and everything. And I was like, well, how did they know where they were coming back to?
Now, Apex can clearly control wherever something comes through the portal. They can control where it goes.
That ain't good.
I don't like that.
That ain't good. But I will say this sets up a season 2, especially with old Godzilla coming through and Lee being alive or not being, either he survives down there or he doesn't. Do we go get him? The whole family dynamic with Keiko and her son and the 2 kids.
How is she going to feel knowing that her son works for Apex when she went down working for Monarch? And it seems like he wants to get rid of the monsters and she's all about preserving them.
Monarch didn't even go bother to find her.
Monarch did not go bother to find her. How is she gonna feel about her son sticking Lee in a home?
There's like I said, there's still the family drama, and now we got Apex drama, and then we also got monster drama, just all tangled up.
How's she gonna feel about her son being awful and a deadbeat,
and her granddaughter also taking after her daddy a little bit, cheating on her girlfriend? I was like, she cheating on her girlfriend in the middle of a Godzilla series? What the heck's going on here? It sets up season 2. I hope we get a season 2, but I am also very interested in how we gonna continue this universe in the movies.
And we both noticed something when we get the Kong reveal, because they're on Skull Island, and at the end he looks old. He gray. Why does he look old?
He is gray.
Unless they're trying to say that is not the same Kong we've been seeing in the movies, because in the Kong in the movies they keep talking about how he's so young.
Yeah, he doesn't
such a
age.
young adult. But
my
this one is
theory
older.
Is kind of that it's the same Kong from Skull Island, the Skull Island movie. Because who else would it be? I don't know. They're going to have to tie that thread up a little bit, especially since we've clearly established that Kong Skull Island is part of this universe, with John Goodman being Bill Randa.
That was like in the 60s, 70s? It
Oh,
was right after Vietnam?
Yes. When does Skull Island literally take place? 73.
So it was in the 70s. That could mean that the Kong in Skull Island, with Loki and Nick Fury and Captain Marvel, is not the same Kong that fought Godzilla
in the movie.
Yes, that means that there's another.
So there's 2 Kongs. There's 2 Kongs.
Yeah, because how is it?
Kong also has a new arm in the
he's
movie.
got because Godzilla broke his arm when they fought. Yeah, I wouldn't be as confused if this Kong
didn't look old.
And clearly looks
they
much
purposely
old. He looks like an old man Kong.
You have to purposely age a fake animal on TV.
Like you have to do a lot to make an ape look like it has a beard.
Right.
That's graying.
Like it looked like Kong needed several thousand gallons of just for men.
Yeah.
So they did that on purpose, and I'm really curious at how we tying these movies and these TV shows together.
So by the time Kate and them come out of the portal, we're in 2017, which means we are now a couple years before
Let me see.
King of Monsters.
So many questions that warrant a season 2, in my opinion.
Yeah, because in Godzilla versus Kong, it opens up where Monarch already has an outpost.
Yes.
They've created like a pin for him with the virtual ceiling.
Yep.
So, and it didn't seem like Apex was there at all.
No.
But maybe we'll find out that Apex...
Maybe they broke up.
Yeah, maybe they stopped partnering.
Mm-hmm.
Because eventually Apex goes to make Mechagodzilla to kill Godzilla.
Yep. I wonder if they're going to do a season 2 to bridge the gap and then connect them in another movie. Like after Godzilla X Kong.
I think they should replace the human characters in the movies and just use these people.
That's then they have to age them up a little bit.
Oh, that's true.
A little bit.
It sucks because I really like these characters.
Yes,
but I don't
agree.
care about any of the humans in the movies.
None.
Like none of them. I don't even care about the little girl who can talk to Kong.
That's the only girl I care about.
They don't give her enough to do.
They don't.
I'd rather Kate and Kong have a connection. Well, I feel like Kate and Godzilla have a connection.
And the little girl and Kong
Kong.
Yeah. Things to think about.
Yeah.
But highly recommend. Do we want to say favorite line? This might be harder to do because it's a TV show, but favorite line or scene?
Godzilla first showing up when they tried to blow him up.
Okay.
That was the first Godzilla reveal. And the last scene, fighting that monster.
That was a very good fight scene.
The
way he showed up out of the little portal was kind of like, no, what y'all down here doing?
Right.
God, I always got to fix something. Why are you trying to leave? You're not supposed to be leaving. Go sit down somewhere.
And then it's the fact that, so does Godzilla just go back and forth whenever he feels like it?
I think he can. That's his purpose. I think that's his purpose.
Jumps in and out. I thought he just stayed topside, but apparently he just can
go. I think he goes back and forth.
Go between Earth, Hollow Earth, and Axis Mundi.
As he needs to.
No issue.
Listen, he Godzilla. Like, he got a job to do. What was my favorite? I think my favorite line might have been when Verdugo, the trio, Tim, May, Kentaro, and Kate wanted to go find Shaw. And she was like, I can't send y'all in there. Like, y'all are not trained military assassins, nothing. And they were like, well, last time we did it, we did fine. Like, is the last time you send trained people in there working? And she was like, oh yeah, I've been looking forward for the Goonies to get back together.
Yeah, I did like that one.
That was funny. She had a nice little funny bit there at the end. She was
good.
I liked her.
I also liked her scene where she did the press conference where she finally revealed Monarch to the world. And the reason I liked it is because she didn't when Tim pointed out, like, the only way we're going to be successful is if we stop doing it in secret. Yeah. And I like the fact that she didn't argue. She was kind of like, you know what, fine.
Right.
There's clearly no other way around this.
I hope we see her in the next season. If they haven't announced a second season, they have been mum on it. But if they do it, I hope they keep her. Final words about the show and our rating.
Really good. I went in with not low expectations, but lower expectations on the monster side. I did not expect to see as many monsters. I didn't even expect to see more than just Godzilla.
Very true.
I expected to see Godzilla once or twice. I expected to see either Kong as the very last scene.
Oh, really? Okay.
I expected a Kong tease.
Okay.
Because he's the only other big, bad.
He's in the MonsterVerse.
Yeah, it's just Godzilla and Kong, and there's everybody else under them.
Right.
I did not expect to see a different monster almost every episode.
Yeah, about every other one for sure.
And I didn't expect them to be as creative because if you go back and watch some of the trailers and the promo, they didn't really tease more than Godzilla and maybe one other monster.
Maybe one other. Maybe.
We got so many different. We got bug monsters. We got flying monsters. We got
monsters.
Roachy, whatever the heck that thing was in the Arctic with the blizzard powers.
Energy fire monsters.
Yeah.
We got little bugs, big bugs, shedding bugs.
And we got and they showed us the map of all these different type of occurrences. And
we got a lot of lore.
Yeah. So we know that there's even more monsters coming out.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I really like that. And I did not expect to care about the humans. I expected to go in and be like, chat. Let's get to the
You
Godzilla.
never expect to care about the humans or even be interested. Because I wouldn't say I cared. I was just like, y'all are messy. And I like to see this mess.
So much drama.
The mess playing out was good to see.
It was so messy. Everybody was flawed in a large way. But
you like them one episode and be like, you ain't worth a dang.
Yeah. You're on Kate's side in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
Because
find out she was cheating on a girlfriend.
F your daddy. He left you and left your brother that you didn't know
both
about.
Y'all.
But then it's like, you are also a cheater. Kate,
cheating.
You're disappointing me.
Cheating. I mean, it just, that whole reveal was just like, well, dang. Now I can't root for you either.
Yeah.
All y'all suck. Where is Godzilla to take y'all out?
Right.
Where is he?
So, yeah, my recommendation is to recommend this.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely watch it.
Yep.
10 episodes. You probably wouldn't want to binge all 10 in a day.
They're pretty lengthy.
It is 10 hours of television.
About 10 hours for sure.
Absolutely check this show out. Production value. I don't think we talked about the production a lot, but the money was there.
Budget.
I really want to see what the budget was.
I said budget when we saw the trailers. I was like, oh, they spent money on this.
Yeah, and I think Apple TV is just one of those things.
They can.
They have the money to spend on it.
They got it.
Yeah.
Y'all keep buying them iPhones and we gonna keep buying these Macs when we get these shows.
The production value between this show and the movies, you can't. It's almost like Star Wars shows and the Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
You can't tell.
But the weird thing about it is Star Wars is all under the same umbrella as these shows are not. Like WB, I think, owns the rights, but we have Apple and Legendary. We have different studios actually doing these projects.
Yeah.
So, but Apple, I mean, it's Apple. They got the money and they put it into the show. Apple is the best at not promoting their good TV shows.
And I wonder how this is going to affect my viewing of the movies. Like, am I going to think the movies aren't as good because I'm missing my Monarch characters?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just lower your expectations.
I saw the trailer for Godzilla X Kong, and they had like the scenes with the doctor chick was returning.
We got a trailer before something we just saw. Oh, Book of Clarence, right?
Yeah,
maybe. Okay, yeah.
But we got a scene of the doctor chick from the last one returning, the little girl Gia returning. I'm just like, I don't care.
Where's
about these
Kate?
People. Yeah,
where's Kate and her messy dad
Where's
at?
Kate and Kentaro.
Right.
Yeah.
Go get Lee.
And
Go get Lee.
And it's Kurt Russell. Put that man in a Godzilla movie.
Listen, I told you, I was like, every time I see Kurt Russell, I see ego now. And I can't unsee it because they didn't really change how Kurt Russell looked in Guardians of the Galaxy. And he's got the same voice. And there's a couple scenes in here where he get kind of like mean with the kids because he kind of like, y'all need to come on with it or go away.
Yeah.
But it's Kurt Russell. And Wyatt, if you have not seen Wyatt Russell in anything or don't remember him from anything, he played, what was his character in Falcon and Winter Soldier?
Patriot.
And he did a very good job of playing a very annoying character. So he can act. And he does well in this.
Yeah, he was in
he's also in Night Swim, which is not doing good right now.
Night Swim, which is not doing good.
Maybe don't watch that one. But he's good in this.
He will also be in the Thunderbolts.
He is returning in the Thunderbolts.
A Suicide Squad-esque adventure in the MCU. Right.
So he was good in this. I'll check him out for other things besides Night Swim. Him and John David Washington seem like they'll have the same path. I think if I had to like guess, they're both, I would say Wyatt might have a bit of an edge acting wise, but I feel like John David Washington gets good projects, so they'll both be able to kind of flesh out their own lanes. And I mean, when you can act, I'm pro nepotism, so.
And that's becoming like the thing now.
Let it go.
Like legendary actors are starting to do things with their kids. Like
I would love to see a you know what?
A Denzel and John David.
They don't look alike, so that wouldn't work.
Well, they don't have to do the same concept. Like what's his name from Black Phone and Moon Knight?
You talking about Ethan Hawke?
Ethan Hawke just did that movie with Maya Hawke.
Oh, did
his daughter?
Okay. I would okay. So we can do like a John David Denzel and something. They could be enemies kind of situation. That would be kind of cool to see.
They could be enemies type.
Like
of thing.
One's like a mercenary and the other one's trying to catch him.
Usually they're like on the same side or buddying up with their kids. But yeah.
Are y'all listening? Somebody pitch this to a studio so we can get it. Anything else we want to say other than go watch this?
Go watch it.
Go watch it.
And I might check out the Skull Island show on Netflix.
Yes, I am going to watch that. I love me a little animated kind of quick watch. And Kept Cretaceous. If you haven't seen it and you watch all the other Jurassic Park stuff, you should watch that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Also good. All right,
what are we doing next episode?
Hopefully, if the weather is not trash tomorrow, we are going to go see American Fiction.
Yeah.
Finally, it feel like they slow rolled that out like a pot roast in the slow cooker.
Yeah. We've been waiting to get.
We've been waiting to see that we were supposed to see that before Christmas. It's finally available to watch locally. So we are going to finally get to American Fiction next episode.
I'm excited about it. I've heard nothing but great things about it. Jeffrey Wright has been nominated and
a bunch of things. The director, I think, has also gotten a couple awards. The screenplay, I think, is won an award.
It's the return of Erica Alexander.
Love it. Maxine Shaw, attorney at law. Absolutely. So if you haven't seen it, go watch it so you can watch our spoiler, or you can listen to our spoiler, or watch it after you listen to our episode. Either one. Pick either one.
Yes.
All right. Thanks for listening. If you like our show, please share it to someone who also likes podcasts. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on our website, vaguelynerdy.com, where you can also leave us a voicemail that we can play for the show. Be nice. We don't play mean voicemails on our show. Nope. You can also follow us on Twitter at vaguelynerdypod or on IG at vaguelynerdypodcast. And if you want to drop us a note, you can reach us at vaguelynerdypodcast@gmail.com.
All right. Until next time.
Peace.